Yo, you already know it's Mastermind MMA, and I went online today, went on bjpen.com, and I see an article with the headline. Ready? You guys need to brace yourself for this. All right. So the headline says, Miesha Tate says she will finish Holly Holm quicker than their first fight if they ever rematch. Wow. The only reason that I have a problem with it is that you turned down the rematch. You see, Miesha Tate's been lying about turning down the rematch because I believe Holly Holm. And it's not because I'm more of a Holly Holm fan than Miesha. Honestly, when it comes to them, I'm more indifferent than anything. And I respect Miesha for winning. But she's definitely just rubbing salt in Holly's wounds. You see, now the headline, you see, it's not clickbait, but it's more of they get down to the quintessential of what she says and kind of takes away the pretext of, oh, I respect Holly and yada yada yada. So basically, here's it in full. I have nothing but respect for her. She was a very tough opponent, but I'm even more confident going to a second fight because I didn't push the pace on the ground when I got her on the ground. And now I feel very confident that I could have caught her sooner. So I think I would get a submission a lot earlier in her rematch if that were to happen. So it's not as cut and dry as the headline says, but in a sense it is. All that other commentary around it is just media training and PR. Miesha, if you could finish Holly faster, why wouldn't you just do that and get it out the way? Do it at 200, then you have the chance to avenge your losses, plural, to Ronda Rousey. I just think it's very messed up. You see, I wouldn't have a problem with it if they were doing a rematch right now. If Miesha Tate's next fight was the Holly Holm rematch and she's over here talking like I'm going to finish Holly sooner in the rematch, then cool. I'm all for that. Talk your shit. You won. Go for it. But if you're going to turn down the rematch, accept a fight that you have a greater chance of defending your belt. Because look, if you fight Holly, there's a good chance you're losing the belt. More than likely. Because you you showed your one rabbit in the hat when you fought Holly. So if she's expecting that and if she worked specifically on that with FYI, they got Izzy Style Wrestling, which is one of the best wrestling coaches in the game. And John Jones brought in a new jiu-jitsu coach that who he's a Gracie and it's his first time working with John. Dude, by the way, this is John's first jiu-jitsu coach. If you guys didn't know, John Jones doesn't do Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. He doesn't do Eddie Bravo's 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. He does what's it called? He does Greg Jackson's Gyodin Jitsu? Something like that. It begins with a G and it ends in Jitsu. So I forgot what it is, but it's basically Greg Jackson's custom martial art for street fighting on the streets of Albuquerque on the ground. It's literally Greg Jackson's jiu-jitsu. And John has the most submissions in light heavyweight. So, I mean, that could either, John could either be a freak and, just pick things up, or that could have been something that hurt Holly. Because on the ground, Holly needs to do some work. I had someone in the comments say that Holly's doing, Miesha's doing Holly a favor because now she has more time to get seasoned in her ground game, which I agree with. But for Miesha Tate to just kind of really pick out, and I just did a video talking about Holly Holm, and when she went on the MMA Hour and the UFC is ignoring her, UFC isn't listening to her, UFC is making matchups between people she's offered to fight, UFC doesn't want to pay her. They might keep her on the back burner until the Ronda rematch, or they might just not give her the rematch out of pure spite. Because it feels like her manager has made an adversary out of Dana White for Holly. You get what I mean? Like, she brought Holly an enemy who just happens to be her boss. At the end of the day, her manager off her last bout, we know he walked away with at least 50 racks. Probably more. He probably walked away with $100,000. Like, if it just say she has a deal where he only gets 10%, which I doubt. I'm sure he's getting 20. But if he's getting 10% just for being her manager, in Holly Holm's last fight, he made more than Nate Diaz made in his previous fight with Michael Johnson to show up. Because Nate Diaz made 40-40. 40 to show, 40 to win. Or 40 show, 40 for fight. I don't remember the exact specifications for that. But, dude, the manager just made like 50 G's at least. He probably made over $100,000. So, he's not the one that goes in there. And, honestly, for Miesha Tate to be talking that without giving Holly a rematch, I think it's fucked up. And I think it's really just messing with Holly. I think Miesha is... I liked Miesha, too. But this is kind of like... it's not like... I just think it's messed up as a person, man. Like, especially when Holly's been nothing but respectful, and you're gonna go on a press run and talk about what you would do in a rematch when you're the one that turned down the rematch. Because listen, Holly's home story is thorough. The best way to tell who's lying is to find discrepancies between a story. Why the fuck do you think cops interrogate people separately? That's just to find any discrepancies within the story. And between Miesha's story and with all the parties involved in that, there's a lot of discrepancies. So from Holly's manager and Holly Holm herself, their story lines up. Their story makes sense, and honestly, their story is the most applicable one. I don't think they have any reason to lie. Honestly, they have more reason to tell the truth than lie, because if they start lying, they're fucking themselves. But for when it comes to Miesha's camp, it's like, oh, what, a rematch? No, we never even heard of that. Nah, I don't know what they're talking about. We never got a rematch offer. So you mean to tell me the co-headliner of the biggest UFC pay-per-view of the biggest star in the female bantamweight division at the time, Holly Holm, because Holly Holm was still riding off of the Ronda fame. It's not like, it's been a year and it's like, oh yeah, she took Ronda out a while ago. This is the lady that did it. It's not that it fizzled out. Dude, Holly Holm could have stayed doing press runs talking about that fight in Australia. And there was a thing saying a while ago where Holly was like, Miesha, I gave you the shot. Give me that favor back. Give me a shot. And then Miesha's like, well, I don't owe anybody anything. Which I have no opinion on, whatever. But for you to come out and start talking shit, like I would finish you even faster. When let's be honest, if Holly Holm didn't rush to the cage at the end when you took her back and didn't try to flip you off, you would not be the champ. And hey, real quick, I don't see Miesha Tate being as mainstream as Holly Holm was. And if you think about it, it's like, okay, Holly got super famous when she took out Ronda. Then shouldn't Miesha be super famous when she takes out Holly? And it wasn't a Holly Holm Ronda performance where Holly just dominated. You threw a Hail Mary and you made an 85-yard touchdown. Congratulations and the utmost respect and props to you. I respect it. You are the champion. Congratulations. You are. And you've been working towards that, and it's good to see someone get what they've been working so hard to get. Especially when it seemed like her career was almost over. But for you to talk about a rematch with Holly when you're fighting Amanda Nunes because you turned down Holly, that doesn't sit right with me. That makes me, that shapes my perception of you very differently than it was. Because that is very disrespectful to Holly Holm. If you're gonna talk shit, back it up. Fight her again. But if you're gonna duck her and then just bask in your glory, that's fucked up. Even if you're dodging her and basking in your glory, that's okay, whatever, I could see that. But if you're ducking her, then saying you would whoop her ass again when you turned it down, fuck that. I'm getting redundant. You already know it's Mastermind MMA.